Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's Good Karma Success Coach podcast. I'm your host, Melinda Van Fleet, and I am super excited that you joined me today. Thank you, thank you. I wanted to share two stories, so this will be part one, and part two will be the second story, about knowing. Every day I see people post, I hear things, I talk to people, and it really amazes me how much is out there, and then people don't really walk the walk, and they don't really know. They don't really trust, they don't really believe. So they may say something out of one side of their mouth, and then on the other side of the mouth pops out something kind of different. And we've all been there. I've definitely been there. But I've done the work to change my mindset and my subconscious and really know that things work out as they should for the greater good. And often that's the greater good for myself and even my husband, Ryan. So hence why I thought I would do a little story share for something that happened yesterday. And then again, part two will be next week. And it's a story share about something I experienced this week with somebody else. And when I share that story, it's not from any type of place except for just to share and have you go, oh, I do that. So that's why I want to share that story. So here we go. Here is story number one for this week. If you don't know me and you don't know where I live, my husband Ryan and I live in the Florida Keys. And if you know anything about warm weather climates, we have big palm trees. And at our house where we live, we have ginormously tall, if that's a word, palm trees. Taller than any palm trees I have ever seen. And legend goes, because I've lived here now with my husband for 9 years, that the gentleman who originally built this house, he actually lived here. And so he kind of was someone that had a little bit of an ego, let's say, and wanted really tall palm trees. So he paid like over $20,000, as I've been told, per palm tree. And we have 4 of them in our backyard. So when they need to be maintained, which is twice a year, and preferably at least once before the hurricane season comes, we actually have to have a climber come to maintenance of palm trees. And maintenance of palm trees means cutting off the coconuts and the dead palms and really just cleaning them up, because otherwise the coconuts fall from the trees. And actually I've almost been crushed by a coconut before. So imagine falling from a really tall tree, this big coconut. And it's actually kind of dangerous and can do damage to your cars and all that fun stuff. And then when you have a hurricane, you've just amplified all of that, right? So when the climber comes, he literally has cleats for shoes and a chainsaw. And he climbs to the top of the palm trees and starts wildly swinging this chainsaw. And everything goes flying. Coconuts, palms, remnants, you name it, everything goes flying. And we have a lot of things in our backyard that are breakable. I have a lot of pots that are from Spain or Mexico, because we can't plant in the ground very easily here in the Keys because we live on a rock. So all of my plants and flowers are in flower pots, and we have ceramic tile on our table. So what we have to do before this guy comes is always remove everything from the backyard so it doesn't get broken. And we also have to then clean up. They do an okay job of cleaning up, but not the best. And then there's often like remnants everywhere. I find things in bushes, in the trees, you name it. And then on top of that, we have 3 little dogs, and they go crazy with the noise. They go absolutely batshit crazy, which often then leads to pee and poo everywhere because they're little dogs and they get frightened. So all of that being said, I knew that I was waiting for the call from Jim to schedule the palm tree guy to come, the climber. So Friday morning, I decided to go to Wells Fargo to do something that I had been putting off for a very long time. And it's something that I needed my husband present for. So unfortunately, he had to cancel his charter due to the weather. So I'm like, oh, this is a perfect day for us to go to Wells Fargo together in the morning at 9 a.m. and get this paperwork done and everything all squared away with Wells Fargo. So we go to Wells Fargo, and the very nice banker starts to think about what I'm asking. And he's like, makes a phone call. And I'm sitting there for 10 minutes, and I can hear Charlie Brown on the other end. Wah, 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 wah. And the banker gets done with the phone call, and he goes, I need this document from you, and I need it to say this. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, I've been through this before. I called the bank in January, and then I just didn't come in for the appointment. And she had me fix this with the state. We go round and round and round. But the guy's super nice, and I'm not trying to give him a hard time. It's just one of those like, ugh, really? I have to go back home and create a form? Can't I do it here? Can't I just use your computer and type this up and you print it? He's like, no. So anyhow, so I'm like, okay. I said, we live 10 minutes down the road. I'm going to go home, type this up, email you, and then can you just call me that you got it and we'll come back? Because I really want to get this taken care of today because, again, my schedule is really busy and my husband fishes every day. So for us to be together, it's not the easiest task. And I would just like to get this off my to-do list. He's like, fine. So Ryan and I head back to our house 10 minutes away. And wouldn't you know it, the tree cutter is here. He had just arrived. The owner of the tree cutting service never called me to make an appointment. So the tree cutter was here. And I said to the guy, I'm like, oh my gosh, we're not ready for you. We have to move all our stuff. We are dressed up. We have plans today. I have to get back to the bank. I said, I'm not prepared to have you here today. Like, this was not scheduled. And he was so nice. He's like, no problem. He goes, I kind of wondered because one of your cars is in the driveway still and that needs to get moved. And he's like, but I was told to come here from Jim. And I'm like, no. Jim was supposed to call me to make an appointment, which he did not. So the tree cutter guy, again, super nice, was like, I'm just going to go. I'll come back on Tuesday. Is Tuesday good for you? I said, Tuesday is perfect. I'm home on Tuesday. Come back on Tuesday. And he left. So then I come in to type up this document, and what happens? My phone rings, and it's the banker. And the banker's like, after I left, I started thinking that the information that I received from that woman wasn't correct. And really, you're set up fine, and you can do what you need to do. So why don't you come back? So I looked at Ryan, who's just like sitting on the couch playing on his phone. And I'm like, okay, let's go back to the bank. So we go back to the bank. And I had to have a good chuckle because honestly, there makes no sense of what happened. I mean, like, it makes absolutely no sense. Like, except for the fact that we were supposed to get back home to stop the tree cutter from making a complete disaster hurricane of our backyard. And it's the only thing. It's the only thing. So we sat with the banker. We got it done. I feel so much better that it's off my to-do list and everything's all squared away with the paperwork and everything's good. And I looked at the banker after he was all done and I said, you know what? I said, as crazy as it is that you sent us back home for paperwork that we really didn't even need, and someone would probably normally be kind of pissed off about that. I said it worked out in our favor because the tree cutter had showed up at our house and we did not have him scheduled for today. So he, I think, was probably maybe a little relieved that we weren't mad. But I was like, oh my gosh, the universe is watching out for us and knew that we did not want to deal with the aftermath of that situation and had us come home. So it all worked out perfectly. But here's the extra bonus. During this whole process, and this is what I want to get across to everyone, during this whole process, I just knew it was going to work out. I just knew it was going to work out. I was like, this whole thing with the bank is going to work out. Like, I wasn't mad or upset when he was sending me home. I was a little annoyed, but I was like, okay, whatever. I'm going to roll with this. Let's just get this done. And I kind of joked with him about it because I'm an action taker. So I like things to be super easy, super quick, not a lot of drama, not a lot of running around or rigmarole. I like when things are organized and I can just get it done. And we were having a joke about the fact that that's me. And then the banker is someone who is really good with like the more of the details, and I don't like the details. So that's why I was like, I don't know what you really want. Like, okay, I'll just do this form and be done. Whereas he knew all the details, right? So that was his strength, was understanding all the details, which is more of a knowledge type wiring, right? As a skill set. Because we all have various skill sets. We all have skill sets. And something I'm going to put in the show notes, which is really cool and ties this together, is this nifty little free assessment that you can take that will literally take you 90 seconds or less. And it's called Bank. So look for it in the show notes and take the assessment. And the assessment will tell you, are you an action taker like me? Are you a nurturer, which is actually my second skill set? Are you a knowledge person, which was my banker? Or are you a blueprint person, which is probably like my banker too, because he was able to figure it all out and piece it all together. So definitely take the assessment. It's a really cool little free assessment that will give you then a really great thing that you can print out, and you can learn from and grow from. So that is my story for this week. Have confidence in knowing things will work out. Truly, truly train your subconscious mind that things will work out. And there's definitely ways and tools that you can work on that. It may be a process for you. It may be layers. It may be layers of mindset work. And that is what I work with women on, is coaching you through those things to know that things will work out for you and to know that you can make a difference and make things happen in your life. So anyhow, contact me. I will put my information in the show notes if you are ready to work together. So until next week, be grateful, be curious, always be learning, and you know what? Have some fun too. Thanks for listening.